It's kind of crazy to think that we can just pop up all these manufacturing companies at the drop of a dime. It's not going to happen. That takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of licensing and planning to get those plants up and running. It's huge to have any business in this country right now that's currently here and operating.
So one of the joys we have at the Alliance for American Manufacturing is connecting directly with factory workers across America. They're at the heart of our mission to try to strengthen policies that are going to make more factory jobs possible in the future. So it was a great opportunity we had a few weeks ago in Las Vegas, Nevada, to sit down with several factory workers, and they shared with us how they got involved, why it's important, what some of their favorite products are, what are they making, how do things feel to be in a factory right now. We hope that by bringing you these stories, we can give you a glimpse into the lives of factory workers and discover they love their jobs and they get a great deal of satisfaction about it, and they are important to America's economy. Now, to do this, we enlisted a couple of our team members at AAM, Megan Hasse and Jennifer Snyder, to sit down with factory workers that span from coast to coast. That's all coming up next on the Manufacturing Report. First, we're going to bring you the story of Arvella Greenlaw. Arvella works in the Cleveland Cliffs blast furnace in Burns Harbor, Indiana. That's in northwest Indiana, close to Chicago, and it's the heart of American steelmaking. Arvella Greenlaw, a second-generation steelworker, shares how union jobs support women, support families, and strengthen communities in Indiana.
I am the Women of Steel coordinator for District 7. My local is 6787. And I work for a company called Cleveland Cliffs out of Burns Harbor, Indiana. So currently, I am the safety instructor. So I work out of our training center, making sure that I advocate safety throughout the workers. But my title there is a cooling bed operator as well. I have been in the mill for 14 years now. So my husband also works at the same plant that I work in. We're in the same department in the plate mill. He just works in the mat lab. And I have a cousin who works out there and a brother-in-law who works there. I'm a second-generation steel worker. So my dad used to work in the mill as well. And all my uncles worked in the mill. So I totally am like from a union family. Well, even though I come from a union family, my first jobs from the time I got out, have all been management jobs. I would always treat my workers very fairly. So I'd always end up getting told by other managers that, oh, you're never going to make a great manager. You're never going to make a great manager. And I told them, that's not my life goal to be a manager anyway. I just happen to got management jobs. I'm looking to be in the union. And then they would tell me things, but my department would always be the one that would always be in more compliance than any other department because I treat people like people. So I work with the union, skills all the time, regardless of being in management. And then I finally got my application okayed, and I got into the plant, which was kind of late because only 14 years ago. And ever since then, it's just been so much better because of my benefits. That's one of the biggest things is my benefits, and they're protected by me being in the union. So I love that.
It almost sounds like there's a pride when you talk about working in the mill.
As a woman in the mill and now being the Women of Steel coordinator, it's so important to understand that we have avenues to be able to go to if we're not treated, right in the mill because we're a woman. And I work in a predominantly male industry, so that's so important for me. It rolls down to our family, right? Because a lot of us, that's what we're there for our family. So even though my children are grown now, but the benefits that they even get, and then my grandchildren from me working in the mill in the union is absolutely a lot of pride. I love my USWs.
That was Arvella Greenlaw out of Burns Harbor, Indiana. Now from Lake Michigan, we're going to travel to the Great Salt Lake and move from steelmaking to mining. And we had a chance to catch up with Holland Fabula. Holland works at the Rio Tinto mining facility in Utah. Holland shares how Utah's Bingham Canyon mine powers 14% of U.S. copper production, and why saving smelters is vital to America's manufacturing future.
My dad worked and retired from the business that I currently work at. I always knew it was better because we always had good health insurance. We didn't go without. I worked in the real world with no unions and everything else for several years after I graduated, and eventually went and applied and got on.
What does the mine mean to your community?
It's huge. We have a couple thousand employees, some contractors, and we have 4 different unions that actually work out of our plant, with the steelworkers being the largest. The state of manufacturing in this country in general has been disintegrated from, the 70s moving forward to now, without a doubt. It's kind of crazy to think that we can just pop up all these manufacturing companies at the drop of a dime. And it's not going to happen. That takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of licensing and planning to get those plants up and running. It's huge to have any business in this country right now that's currently here and operating. I believe we were right around 14% of supplying the copper in the country. So hopefully we'll be able to buy concrete from other copper mines that are still currently open, but they do not have a smelter.
Did you say that you were one of the few remaining copper mines?
One of the few smelters. I believe there's only 2, maybe 3 in the country that are currently still running. There's always things that policymakers can do. One of the things that they could do is stop buying into the BS and the lobbyists that want them to do things that are going to disintegrate working people and their ability to sustainably exist. It's one thing to say you can have a job and raise a family. It's another thing to say that, well, because of our policy, I have to have 2 jobs and I can still barely raise my family. I truly hope that things get better. The climate doesn't seem like it, and even if it does, it's probably going to take a long time. Things drop fast. They don't grow back fast.
That was Holland Fabula, a steelworker from Utah. Let's shift now to toilet paper. We have a chance to talk to Terry Gorley. Terry is a longtime employee of Georgia Pacific, based in Oregon. And you guessed it, Georgia Pacific makes not only toilet paper, but other essential paper products that many of us take for granted. Tara shares how factory work runs in her family, builds community, and keeps rural Oregon strong with good jobs and rising wages.
Angelsoft, Brawny, Kirkland, Talent Tissue. I actually manage the landfill and I run heavy equipment. It was the area's best employment, and both my grandfather and my dad worked there, so it was just natural to go work for GP. It has its moments, long hours, but the people make it worth it. We have a great camaraderie and enjoy all our stories about hunting and fishing and everything outside of the mill, as well as being able to do great things at the mill. Working there is definitely a plus for anybody. We have good benefits. Our wages keep going up every year. We keep our towns around subsidized, I guess you could say. It's very rural, so we're very much into the community that we come from there, so we can support them. But we don't want to lose jobs overseas. We want to be able to support our families and have all the things that generations before have fought for and gotten.
That was Terry Gorley out of Georgia Pacific in Oregon. Let's move back to the Midwest. Steelworker James Evanoff shares pride in 4 generations at the mill, building cars and careers with strong pay, skills, and made in America pride.
James Evanoff from Steelworkers Local 979 in Cleveland, Ohio. Work for a company called Cleveland Cliffs. We make flat carbon steel, essentially steel for automotive and appliances, that kind of nature. Just having a steady job with good pay and good benefits, not having to worry about, can I make a car payment this month, or can we afford to go out to eat this weekend? Those are things that I don't necessarily have to worry about as much as somebody else who may not work in a manufacturing job that may pay as well as mine. A lot of people just think, oh, it's manufacturing, but a lot of the people that I work with, they have technical training. They've been to vocational school, or they have associate's degrees, bachelor degrees. We even have some people in the steel mill working that have master's degrees. There's nothing wrong with being educated and working in manufacturing, or just going straight into manufacturing.
That was James Evanoff of Cleveland, Ohio. For our last conversation, we're going to shift from the Midwest back to the Rocky Mountains, and we're going to talk to Chuck Perko. Chuck is a fourth-generation steelworker at Rocky Mountain Steel, which makes rails. And this company and this workplace has a fascinating history. We were lucky to talk to Chuck for our podcast a while back, and so it's a real pleasure to catch up with him again. Chuck shares how steel made for railways drives Pueblo's economy and why smart trade policies are key to protecting U.S. industry.
We are the steel mill that built the West. We were the largest steel maker west of the Mississippi River at one time, and that is the product that we had made from the beginning. I've had great-grandfathers, grandfather, as my dad was an engineer at that facility, and so when the opportunity arose to put my name in to try to get a job out there, it was a pretty easy decision to make. As I got involved with the steel workers, realizing just how important trade and manufacturing was, this type of work came pretty naturally. After college, I was at home. I didn't have a job, and I realized the mill was hiring. At one time, my dad told me, "You will not work out there," and I proved him wrong. It's a great place to work. We have a motto out there, "Mill money." We're pretty much the best paid workers in the city of Pueblo, where the salaries and the wages to drive the community.
What would you tell someone who's interested in a factory job?
So first of all, whether you have gone to college or not, factory work is something that can provide for your family. It is something that is a proud industry to be in. You have the ability to make the products that drive America. There is no shame in a factory job. This facility has been in operation since 1872. We are the heart of that city. If that steel mill were to shut down, as it almost did in the 1980s, it definitely will drive our economy into the ground. Thankfully, we're building a new rail mill on the side that will drive us for another 50 to 75 years. Happy to be a part of that.
And that was Chuck Perko out of Rocky Mountain Steel in Pueblo, Colorado. And that will do it for the Manufacturing Report this week. I'd like to thank Megan Hasse and Jennifer Snyder of the AAM team for conducting the interviews with these amazing factory workers. And a special thank you to the workers who joined us for this podcast. We're grateful for you sharing your stories with our audience. You can check out all of this and the issues we work on at our website, americanmanufacturing.org.